First pick.
Alrighty, welcome back to another episode On the Clock. Your Just Baseball home for everything MLB Draft and college baseball. We got a jam-packed show for you today. We have the new top 50 list coming out. We're going to give you an overview of the class, the evaluation philosophy that Tyler put into this, go through the top 50 prep list, the top 50 college list a little bit, and then do a little bit of cross-board discussion to see kind of where guys land there. And then we have some fan Q&A as well to get to. But first, if you like what you're listening to, be sure to subscribe On the Clock on Spotify, Apple, anywhere you get your podcasts. And also check out our YouTube channel. We got all the interviews from all the coaches, players, MLB draft prospects, anything that you want for MLB draft college baseball. But I guess let's get right into it. Tyler, how are we doing?
Feeling good, feeling refreshed, even though the fact that, Thanksgiving week is currently killing me because of work and such. But definitely looking back at the past couple months, we've always been a little bit on the down low. We've had our own stuff to do with, like half marathon. You've got some exciting stuff going on with you and your family. So, excited to be back, excited to finally be done with the freaking half marathon, man. Because let me tell you, I know we've talked about it in the podcast before with some of the other interviews. That kicked my tail.
Yeah, not a good time. Well, it's a good time once you get across the finish line, but a lot of the training is it's fun.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't fun when my foot fell asleep like halfway through the half marathon.
I'd have that happen all the time when I was running. It's terrible.
Okay, so I'm glad I'm not the only one that had to deal with that.
Yeah, it's common. Sometimes it's your shoelace tied too tight.
That's what I figured, because I made sure not to tighten them too tight. Because it's happened before in like training runs and such. I'll get like 5 miles in and it'll do that. But this one, I was like, I didn't tighten it too much. So I just wonder if it was because I was going at like 8:30-minute mile paces.
Not to brag,
the first 5 miles. Sorry. Hey, if you want me to brag, 5:27 is my fastest mile time. That was also 10 years ago.
It's pretty good.
And also like 50 pounds ago. So like that's not going to happen anytime soon.
We're gonna have a segment get Tyler to 5:27 again, and we're just gonna watch him run every day a mile, and we're just gonna put it on the podcast.
Watch Tyler turn himself into a dead person and end up in a casket because he's trying to get back to 5:27 again.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, see.
But we want to get into the top 50 board for you. We are rolling into the Thanksgiving holiday here. So if you're listening to this, we're post-Thanksgiving. This should be dropping Friday morning. Wild that it's the holidays. But you did have your top 50 prep board list. It's almost like a holiday gift, a Black Friday release for all the listeners. Just give us a little explanation on the methodology you kind of put into putting these boards together. Because I think we always talk about the boards, but we never have you kind of dive into like what goes into these rankings for you on a yearly basis, like the things that you're doing to really prep these.
Yeah, it's a lot of evaluation and a lot of time really spent into this. Like I could tell you right now, just having to do the half marathon training, also working, basically 30 plus 40 is 40 hours a week with the day job, just never really had enough time to like push something out super quick. That's why we took our time with this, because realistically, I want to make sure we are as finite as possible. I want to make sure that we're covering every single detail as we can with this and trying to make the best, rankings that we can. So the biggest thing for me is, whether I've seen these people before, these players before, or spend a lot of time watching video, looking over data, and talking to some people in the industry where, something I've learned from other people is athleticism is key. That's one of my biggest scouting pillars is athleticism. Mm-hmm. And then another thing that goes into that is success with the fastball. And that goes for both hitters and pitchers. So, you'll look at some of the prep lists where, okay, Carson Bolemon doesn't have the greatest fastball. It's steep, it's 90-94. However, puts it wherever he wants to at command, the pitchability. That's why he's so high for me, because I really value the pitchability for a starter. I feel like if you can really establish some of these secondaries more than the fastball. Like you can establish the fastball and make it your own thing, but if you don't have really secondaries to kind of help you with that, like, for example, Savion Sims, who's at 48 on our list, he's got the fastball. Don't get me wrong. He's just 100 and he's already gotten like over 7 feet of extension. He also throws the fastball 80% of the time and doesn't really have a secondary at this point, which is why he's so far down compared to like Carson Bolemon, Gio Rojas, Logan Schmidt, all these lefties at the top of the list that really have stood out for their pitchability or the upside that they have in their arsenal. So, like, for example, again, Carson Bolemon, not the greatest fastball, but he's got 2 secondaries and breaking balls that could be plus in the future. He has feel for a changeup. The pitchability is there, the command's there, the track record's there. It's just really hard to ignore everything combined into that. So you're looking at not only the tools, what's the track record like, and everything like that, and just combining it together is how really the process works. And I know somebody in Discord asked, like, obviously you see some of these shortstops with elite gloves. Like you look at Grady Emerson, Jacob Lombard, who look like they could be surefire shortstops at the next level. What are some of the things that kind of hamper you, or like what gives you reservations about guys? And it's really, again, looking at the athlete. How good of a fluid mover are they? And what's the range like? What's the first step like? Is there anything that like looks a bit choppy, like the footwork? Does the arm kind of look a little bit wonky when it comes across the diamond? How does that affect the accuracy? All that kind of really goes into it. And it's kind of like you're nitpicking a little bit. You're nitpicking on some of the things that realistically you would think don't make a lot of sense to try and nitpick. But in terms of projecting where somebody's going to be, you look at Grady Emerson. He's 6'2", 180, extremely fluid, extremely lithe. And what I mean by that is he's pretty athletic. He's nimble. And he shows that he can play at shortstop with good range. And if he happens to move off, he's a very viable third baseman. Jacob Lombard, I've been told he's a gymnast, apparently, which I think is pretty cool, actually. And that kind of, fluidity, flexibility, everything like that plays at shortstop when you've seen him play. So that's really the big things I look for is the athleticism. How well do you do against the fastball? How well does the fastball work for a pitcher too? And then you start looking at some of the other stuff down the board. What does the secondaries look like? What does power? How does it fit in with defensive positioning in the future? Because there's a lot of stuff that really goes into that. Like you look at Will Brick. Catching is so volatile, and just any demographic, but prep catching specifically is one of the more volatile demographics. It's really, really tough to find a solid prep catcher. Will Brick is probably the only one in this class that is going to be a certified backstop at the next level. You look at Jaworski Lane, he's probably going to be an outfielder at the next level. Tegan Scott has some tools to really stick at catcher. Granted, he didn't make the list, but he's a guy that I've really enjoyed watching his highlight reels and everything. I think he has a chance to stick at catcher. You think about Jaden Fausti a year ago, who he started the summer as a catcher, but is now going to be manning either center field or right field in the Chicago White Sox system. So really, it's just really volatile to look at, and not a ton of these guys are going to stick back there. Will Brick, when you look at the film, it is just dynamic. He's explosive out of the crouch. The arm is stupid good. It's really accurate. It's really strong. He's throwing guys out from his knees, looking like Yadi Molina. Not saying he'll end up being like that, but like just to give you an example of like some of the really, really good plays that he's been able to do. So yeah, kind of a long-winded answer, but hopefully that gives people an idea of like what the process goes into it. And realistically, we're all still learning. There's going to be stuff that I don't have the greatest grasp on, but I'll talk to people, understand more, kind of figure out how to implement everything into my own process to make that work. So that way, I'm not having to rely on outside information to create these opinions or project these opinions on these players, but also just to make sure I have my own opinion, can form my own opinion about that as well. I think that's the biggest thing moving forward in terms of creating that process and sticking to it.
No, I love it. I think that's helpful for like the listeners just to get insight into what goes into the board, right? Because everybody's like, oh, they're just rankings, you just blind rank them, but no, you're incorporating live looks, you're incorporating data, you're incorporating not even live looks, but just watching video of these guys just to get a sense of their game. So, want to really dive into this top 50 because I think the list is awesome. I think we should start, of course, with number one. So, Grady Emerson comes in on number one on your list. What about his profile for you made him the number one prep player?
Biggest thing was comparing him to some of the other prospects in this class. Like obviously coming in, it was him and Jacob Lombard who had really a big stronghold on the 1-2 positions in this prep class. And obviously you look at it now, Lombard's at 5. And for Emerson, there's some stuff to really work on. Like if you want me to get nitpicky, he has some struggles against left-handed pitching, some advanced left-handed pitching, mind you. And there's just a lot of stuff on that side to kind of work on. However, for him, you know, you look at the swing, the approach is sublime. The swing is really good. There's bat speed. I think the swing is going to go through some changes moving forward to kind of get him to tap into more power. And then you look at what he can do at shortstop. Again, I've talked about it before. He's going to be a guy that has the range. He has the athleticism to stick there. He's got the mobility to stick there as well. And if he happens to outgrow the body, you know, move to third base, he's still above average to plus defenders there. So all of that kind of going into it, he was the most consistent bat during the latter part of the summer as well. He had a really good area codes and really continued that going into some of the events in September, like PBR's All-American game down in Florida. So there was just looking at it, I'm not saying he's Eli Willits. I think he's got more potential than what Willits had at this point a year ago. Could Emerson be the 1-1? Probably not with Rock Cholowsky in this class personally, but
and you got Drew Burrows.
Is he right? But like, is he the top prep bat in this class? Absolutely. And it's just he plays a premium position. He's got all the tools. He's got the projection. I just think this is a guy that's going to turn into a really well-rounded player moving forward, compared to somebody like Jacob Lombard, who he's got so much volatility with the hit tool right now, to where some people have comped him Elijah Green. We look at Elijah Green right now, still kind of in low. I think he's low A, still hitting like a buck, or not a buck 90, but like 200, 215.
Yeah. Just don't look at those strikeout rates for Elijah Green.
Yeah. Which to say Lombard, I've talked about it before with like Joe Doyle and stuff. Like, do I think Lombard could go down that same path? Absolutely. However, I think teams finally have looked at the Elijah Green case and kind of looked at things that can be improved upon. And Lombard is that next case study where, you know, you look at it, the hit tool is not great. Probably never is going to be great, but the athletic tools, the raw power moving forward is just so loud that it's hard to ignore what he brings to the table. But again, the volatility there just makes me a little bit uncomfortable. Grady Emerson's the more comfortable pick to have at the top for me. And I just think he's going to be a very well-rounded player. Like, could he be very upside laden? Absolutely. I think he, again, has more upside than what Eli Willits had. Eli Willits won 1-1 despite the fact that people thought he was never going to be anything more than like a 5-win player. Again,
still pretty good.
Like 5 wins is still really good. Obviously, you want more from a 1-1 pick, but like if Eli Willits is consistently getting you like 3 to 4, maybe even 5-win seasons consistently, that's still a really, really good pick. For the Nationals, if that ever pans out like that. So, you know, I think that's just the way to go with it. You look at it, it's not the safety pick, but he's the pick where you're the most confident that this is the right guy to have here.
Yeah. No, I love it. Before we go into major risers, you mentioned this guy a little bit when you were talking about just the methodology of the class, but Carson Bolemon. So what put him as the number one pitcher for you?
It was tough to rank these top left-handed pitchers in this class because this is a really, really good crop this year. Bolemon, Gio Rojas, Logan Schmidt reclassed. Then you look at the top right-handed pitcher in Jensen Hirschkorn, who cracked the top 10. But again, it's the track record for me that really pushed Bolemon over the top. This is a kid that has been on radars for 2 to 3 years and has performed at every stop. He won a gold medal with Team USA this summer. when I saw him at 17U champs in USA, it was something like 6 or 7 shutout innings. He only allowed like 2 hits. He struck out 10. It was a really, really polished delivery. The arsenal is really good. He's attacking guys. He's not shying away from them. He's consistently 90, 92. He can bump a 94. Again, the breaking balls are just so good. I think the curveball really caught a lot of people off guard pretty consistently, especially lefties. It's a tough at bat. You don't see the ball at all. It's very deceptive. And when it comes out of the hand, it just completely comes out of the fastball tunnel, dives for the dirt, or it dives into the strike zone. Good luck, have fun. The slider took a step forward this year, and they're just shape difference. Like the slider's going to have more horizontal tilt to it, whereas the curveball is more vertical. And they can blend together at times, but I think that gets ironed out with more development in like a professional system compared to what he has now at high school. So going of that, if you have a 55 fastball with 2+ breaking balls, feel for a changeup with 50 command, maybe more than that. I think even if he is, again, the safer of the 3 options you have here, you take it and run with it. Mm-hmm. I think he's the guy that, again, the polish, the track record, everything's there for him to succeed. And I feel like going off of that, he deserves to be the number 1 pitcher in this class. But again, Rojas, Schmidt are almost on his heels. It's really, you can rank them any which way you want to. But for me, it's Bolemon, having asked a couple of people around here as well if they think Bolemon's the number 1 guy. And again, having that and track record really just it pushed him over the edge for me.
Oh, I love it. So now going into major risers, pick 2 guys. I know you were out at area code games. Got to see a lot of those guys out there, so that kind of changed the order of your board, just being able to get those live looks. But who are 2 guys that were for you kind of the biggest risers as you were putting this list together?
I'm going to stray away from like the obvious, like Blake Bowen, EJ
number 3.
Yeah, like these are guys that, again, I mentioned Joe Doyle. Joe Doyle and I both have pretty similar processes because of the fact that he helped mold what I am today, which is I cannot be more thankful for. So obviously you look at probably our boards are pretty similar. That's why. But the biggest really riser for me, kind of looking at it, Jensen Hirschkorn, man. Seeing him at area codes, that was
insane performance.
3 shutout innings, all strikeouts, all of them swinging, by the way, except for like 1, if I remember correctly. Given the fact he's 6'7", 205, you would expect him to have struggles as being this tall, lanky kid, can't control his levers. But really, when it got down to it, nobody sees the ball out of the hand. The arm circle is short. You don't see it until it gets to about right here. And by that point, you're kind of guessing because everything tunnels out of the same release point. Fastball has already been up to 96, 97. He's super projectable. The slider was a haymaker. Nobody was able to touch it on that Reds lineup from area codes. And it was like 80 to 83. Just really good horizontal tilt. Had some great bite to it. Had some feel for a changeup too. But just seeing that 1-2 combo and then looking at some of the other stuff or other events he had done, rather, like PG National. He wasn't at USA a ton this summer, if I remember, if not at all. But he blew guys away there too. He had something like a 45% whiff rate on every single pitch in his arsenal this year combined.
Nuts.
You look at that and you go, that's really good. He also walked 1 or 2 guys all summer. That's also really good. Projectable, deceptive. You just look at that and you go, there's a lot to dream on here. He got a Louisiana State commitment for a reason. Granted, do I think he goes to Baton Rouge at this point? Probably not. Sorry, Jay Johnson. But
Royal. Just kidding.
Hey, at this point, who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, looking at Hirschkorn, like that was obviously the biggest pitching riser. If there is a guy for hitting, looking down through the list, probably looking at guys like Connor Como from Texas, or you could even bring up guys like again, like the Blake Bowens or anything, but like Connor Como, really, really lanky, really projectable. We talk about these Cooper Fleming types or Theo Gillen types. I was like, the Rays really like these guys. They're the up the middle guys, or maybe not up the middle, but like there's these lanky guys that feel the hit, and you can look at the body, look at the projection, and go, he's going to hit for more power. Connor Como started pulling baseballs at WWBA Worlds last month, where it was easy. It's great extension impact. And he's also showing the ability to backspin, despite the fact that he's 6'4", 180 and looks like a twig. So you look at that and you start going, okay, we get this into like, say like a Brewers system or like a Rays system where they know how to handle these kind of profiles.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that this is like the ultimate outcome for him, but you look at that and you go, this could be a really, really good profile in about a year or two with proper development and proper strength additions. So the approach is really good too. Use a lot of the opposite field, doesn't whiff, doesn't really chase a lot. And now you see the power potential there as a left-handed stick who might be a third baseman, depending on how the body fills out. Like he's not the most nimble shortstop, considering his length and his inability, if we want to put it that way, to kind of repeat his mechanics at the position. So he might move off that. But I think the bat's just going to be too good in the future to where this is a guy that probably goes somewhere in that Cooper Fleming range, like second round, maybe beginning at the third round if it really comes to that, considering the strength of this class at the top. So, yeah, I'm all in on Como, man. It was really, really impressive to watch some of the swings from WWBA on film and then going back to what I've seen at area codes and kind of just putting everything together. Whereas this is a guy that is going to fit that archetype pretty well. And, teams have understood how to make these work. So I think he's going to be a guy to really watch moving forward.
No, I love it. That's great. So moving on to the last part here. So strengths and weaknesses of this class. So like, what's this class identity? Where is it strong? Where could it use some improvement? What's the main things you're looking at in this class?
Biggest thing is pitching. Pitching is just looking really, really, really good this year. Obviously mentioned the trio of lefties at the top there, and obviously Jensen Hirschkorn, but you go further down the list here. Kevin Roberts Jr., granted, he didn't pitch this year, but he's already been up to 96 in the past. He's also 6'5", 217. So if he happens to get back on a mound after his, I believe it was like a shoulder ailment or something he was dealing with this summer, he looks like a guy who could be another top of the class arm. Caden Wechter, son of Doug. If you remember back in the mid 2000s, he was like a 10-year veteran as a reliever, or like he was not a loogie, but like a swing man. Mm-hmm. He's another really, really good Florida arm. That power arsenal probably needs a little bit more horizontal movement to everything in his arsenal, but it's really, really athletic, really good. Denton Lord, 6'8", 220, moves like he's 6'2", 200. Like it's really, really impressive body control for a guy that tall. Cole Kenninger, Coleman Borthwick, Lucas Naroki, who's another really good southpaw from Texas. Cooper Sides, Eli Hurst, Sean Duncan, Blake Bryant, all these guys that really just kind of popped late in the summer. And even like Cooper Harris from Texas, who I think he might be throwing 100 at some point in the near future. These are all guys that you're going to look at and see often when you go to see some tweets or you look at mock drafts and see that, they're high up in comp rounds, or you kind of look and you go, you haven't heard that name before. But then you start looking around and you're like, okay, now I'm starting to see what people are talking about here. The pitching side of the prep class is going to be really, really good this year. I think that's the strength of this class. Outside of that, I think the infield class looks pretty good as well. Obviously, you got Emerson and Lombard at the top. However, you kind of look further down, Tyler Spangler, who might be a third baseman, but he's, again, got one of the better bat-the-ball skills in this class. Power is going to be upticking here soon. Aiden Ruiz is a pass. James Clark looks really good. Rocco Maniscalco reclassed. And probably has the best glove of any infielder in this class thus far. I didn't even go farther past that. Matt Ponatowski, who's a two-way, two-sport king. He might go to Kentucky to play football as a four-star quarterback, but he's also a really good infielder as well. Ethan Bass is highly revered for his glove. So there's a lot of strength in that shortstop, second base class as well. I do want to see a little bit more depth in the bats. And there are some guys towards the bottom of this list, like Robert Amidi from Canada, who is going to be a data model or like a model-friendly data guy. Isaiah Gallison's a guy that's really twitchy. He's another reclass. Archer Horn looks really good. Cole Prosek from Mississippi is another guy that I really, really love. Luke Williams, he didn't play this year because of an ankle injury he had during the spring, but he came out to WWBA, and the athletic traits are insane. I am just floored by the fact that this kid is so twitched up. The power is there. He's going to pull the ball with authority. Looking at guys, too, like Luis Hernandez. I think there's some really intriguing bats at the bottom of the top 50 that I pushed up and was aggressive on. And there's even some guys that weren't even involved in the process that now I look back on. It's like they have a legitimate case to be here. Will Yao, Taj Marchand. We'll highlight those guys on another article here in a couple of days. But I think there's some really intriguing bats the deeper you go into this class. But obviously, as you go farther down, you're going to run into more questions on that side. So, overall, I think this is a good class. I think it doesn't – I don't want to say it rivals the 23 class because that 2023 class is just so good right now.
Yeah.
It's just looking back on it, I think that's the best class we've had in the past,
it's a really
15,
good class.
20 years.
Yeah.
That's a generational class. I'm not saying this class is generational. I think it's above average. I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah. No, I like it. I dig it. We're going to move into the top 50 of the college players. So we already did an episode with top 50 Q&A. We went through like the number one players on the list and those kind of things, but fall's wrapped up, right? And we've seen some more of these guys at some of the summer, some of the USA, who have been some of the biggest major risers for you in this college class.
So obviously, when you look at some of the pitching, not the greatest this year. Cameron Fluke was the big riser, obviously, because you look at what he did for Coastal Carolina this year, being that number 2 behind Jacob Morrison, turning in arguably as good, if not better, of a season. And you look at what he's going to be able to do next year. He's a guy to watch. However, if you're looking for like a big riser, we talked about Ryan Lynch ad nauseum. Ryan Lynch at UNC, big-bodied freshman, 6'3", 235. He's barely eligible for this class. I think he only meets it by like a couple weeks. However, low slot guy is going to be more of a sinker over a true riding four-seamer. However, he creates the angles, he creates the shapes in order to get swings and misses on the fastball. He's also got a really, really good slider that guys just have not been able to catch up on. Also, is working on a changeup, so I think he's going to be pushed into the rotation this year. I've heard he's going to be the Saturday guy behind Jason Nicaro. Looking at some other guys on this list too, obviously we talked about Von Lackey ad nauseum this past summer. I think Von Lackey is the most athletic catcher I've seen in 5+ years of doing this. I've said it before and I'll say it again. He's really, really good. I want to say he's a unicorn. Like Kyle Teal was a unicorn in terms of how athletic he was behind the plate. Somebody quoted it as like having a shortstop at the catching position.
Yeah,
Von Lackey is that and probably a little bit more. I think I really, really like the tools he has back there, and I think the offense is going to come around too. Even some guys behind that I want to kind of highlight too. Tyler Head from North Carolina State. That kid might have the best center field glove in this class. That kid is also, we are hoping, going to tap into more power this year. If he can do that, I think he's going to be viable top 2 round pick this year.
Love it.
I just really think he's going to be a guy that's going to pop off. Jack Natilli from Cincinnati is a big body catcher. He's a guy that has a ton of power. He came in at 38 on our top 50 list for the college class. I want to break him up higher personally because having a catcher with that kind of arm strength and that kind of power is not easy to come by. It really isn't. And,
I was gonna say we had Jordan Bichelle on, his head coach, and he's like, I haven't seen a player like this in a very long time. Basically.
Yeah. And the best part is that he wasn't even with Cincinnati when he was recruited out of high school.
No.
He came from either St. John's or Rutgers. It was one of the two.
I think it was Rutgers.
Yeah, it was Rutgers. I'm looking at it now. And he was solid as a freshman too.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to Cincinnati and breaks out. That Cincinnati team, by the way, is going to look really good this year.
Very good. # good.
Yeah. Nathan Taylor. There's a few other guys there I really do enjoy. If there's a big miss from that college board, now looking back on it after a couple months, Ben Blair from Liberty. He was the biggest miss looking back on it, because there's a lot of guys that have those kind of traits. There's not a ton of guys that have those kind of traits. There's low slot. It's kind of like Ryan Lynch, but obviously more projectable. Creates obscene angles to the plate. It's really good stuff. I'm going to try and see it this spring to try and get a better feel for it, because apparently I don't have a good enough feel for it. But it's like him, Cole Carlin, who I'm starting to turn a corner on. Jack Riddell from Notre Dame is another guy that's really piqued my interest the past couple of weeks. So when we expand to top 100 college lists and even further down the line for like the prep list, there's going to be some interesting changes to make here. And there's a lot of guys that I've recently dug into where I'm like, why did I not put this guy here before? I feel like a big dum-dum for doing that, you know?
As goes rankings, though. Like that's
yeah, that's how it's going to be sometimes.
Yeah.
You look back on
You're
it, it's like,
guys.
Dang it, I forgot about this guy. And obviously I'm going to sit here and tell you, like, it sucks to miss out on these guys. But also at the same time, you live and you learn.
Yeah.
And I am absolutely the first person to tell you I will eat my own words in the future. Ethan Petrie made me eat mine last year.
Yes, he did.
So
you wrote an article and then he went off.
Oh yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he read the article and then realized that this is what he needed to do, and he did it.
Yeah.
And I remember eating my words like a month later. So, there's some of these guys that, again, not on the board now, will be in the future, that I'll look back on as like, I should have had them on the first list.
Yeah,
should have, because they're gonna make me eat my words.
I love it. Want to go into a little cross-board discussion here before we get into some of the fan Q&A. Just want to talk about the overall class, right? Not the prep separated from the college. How does this class rank compared to previous draft classes?
I think it's obviously better than 24 and 25. Mm-hmm. Just looking at the top of the college class with the amount of really, really good bats that are there, Cholowsky is arguably a 60 future value. I think he's probably the only 60 in this class personally. I think there's a lot of 55s. But you look back at some of the other classes, and at the time, Nick Kurtz wasn't a 60 future value in the 24 class. I would argue he was a 55. JJ Weatherholt was a 55. Paul Skeens obviously a 60. And you can make cases for some of the other guys in recent classes to be a 60. Does this rival 23? I don't think it does just yet. I think there's going to be some more evolution in this class to kind of really get itself closer to what 2023 was, because, again, generational. But I just think overall this is a better class in the past 2 years. It's definitely aided by the fact that 2023 is so deep that some of those guys from the high school ranks, they get to campus. You're talking about Drew Burris, AJ Gracia, Cholowsky, and then you get some other influences with like Sawyer Strasnider, Tyler Bell. Justin LeBron has turned himself into a really good bat. And you look at some of the arms, Liam Peterson, and then just looking at how good the prep class is, where I said it's above average, pair that together, you're probably still a tier below what 23 was, but probably still a tier or two better than what the past 2 years have been, personally. Yeah.
I love it. For you, though, if you had to pick, college or prep side, which has the most talent?
Probably college.
Mm-hmm.
I think the college class is so heavy at the top, but there's just so many interesting guys to kind of go through. pitching is probably the weak point on the college side, and we'll talk into more of that later because it's part of the fan questions. But the bats on the college side are just too good to ignore.
Yeah.
Again, I probably would go with 55 future value on Grady Emerson right now. I wouldn't be shocked if it goes any higher with the projection that he has. But looking at what Cholowsky is right now, could he be the first wire-to-wire 1-1 guy in this sense, like what, Adley or Torque at this point? Or does he just end up being the guy at this point? Because like if I'm putting a 60 on him right now, I'm already thinking really, really high what this guy could be. Could he be Dansby Swanson? He very well could be. And we talk about Dansby Swanson as, he's kind of been lackluster the past couple of years, or like he's not as good as what he was when he first came up.
Yeah.
Dansby Swanson has been in the league for 10 years at this point?
Yeah.
8 to 10 years, and has put together a really, really solid career. Can't hate on that 1-1.
No. Yeah.
If that's the comp, you can't hate on that.
No, I love it. Last one I got for you before we go into the listener Q&A. So on the college versus prep side, we talked about who has more talent, but which has more depth to choose from?
I would say college by a hair. By a hair. The lack of college pitching makes me really question it at this point. However, I have mentioned it. The bats are so good. It's hard to ignore.
They both are deep this year compared to last year.
Yes, they are. And that's my thing. Is like the pitching kind of holds this college class back just that little bit. I just don't think the prep class is that as strong or stronger to kind of push the needle back to them. However, again, the prep pitching class this year is really, really good. I would argue that the prep hitters, if there were maybe a couple more top tier guys that you would really consider to be 55s or higher, then yes, I would say it's prep. But again, that's subjective. You're going to come across guys that think differently. I just really think it's really just so close right now to where it's just really well rounded on both sides.
Yeah, you have to love that if you're an MLB executive or a scout.
Yeah, no, at this point, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into some listener Q&A. You kind of got this first question up. So this is from 300 Block in our Discord. Is Rock a slam dunk number one, or is a deal at the top still likely? To me, latter half of this question probably will depend on the MLB draft lottery. But also, what are your thoughts on Rock being slam dunk one?
I think every option is still on the table, personally. Just with the way that everything's been the past few years, where signing bonuses are king. Last year, looking at it, there's nobody in the class that I thought was like, hey, this is a slam dunk $10 million, bat or arm. I think the highest value was $9 million to Ethan Holiday.
Yeah.
Do I think there's a $10 million player in this class? Absolutely. Rock Cholowsky is, again, probably the only one I would hand $10 million to at this point. And I'd imagine the 1-1 value goes up higher than what it was last year. I think last year was just a hair under 11.1 million. So again, I think somebody's going to cut a deal at the top. That's just how the nature of the beast has been and how draft strategy has changed over the past, 5 to 10 years. I still think it's Rock Cholowsky at the top. If you had to tell me the draft was tomorrow, I that's just how I think about it. And the lottery is going to tell us a lot. What's going to happen. And this is we're like 2-ish weeks from the draft lottery, supposedly. I think it's between December 7th and the 10th. I don't know if there's a specific date yet. I have to double check.
We will be doing an episode when that happens as well, by the way.
You might be doing it with me in Disneyland or Disney World. So
Disney Tyler.
Yes, I for what it's worth, I will be going down to Florida with some friends. So
you better have Mickey Mouse ears on if we do a podcast.
I'll start. I'll talk to Mickey if I have to.
Please don't, because I can't do that whole podcast with you talking to Mickey.
Why do you hate that?
Please don't.
That was a very bad Mickey Mouse. But yeah, again, I think the lottery is going to dictate a lot of things. I would still keep all of our options open at this point. As much as I have said, Rock could be the wire to wire 1-1. I still think there's going to be a deal cut at the top.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean, we didn't know when it was projecting Eli Willits one. That came out of nowhere last year. So anything can happen on draft day. So kind of sticking with a Rock Cholowsky discussion, might as well bump this one up to the top. You mentioned Dansby Swanson, but what's the comp from Rock? This was from 38 Waggle in our Discord.
Probably still Dansby personally. Yeah. Really, really good glove. I would argue Rock has more power, but pretty similar bat the ball skills. I just, it's really tough for me to say somebody else other than him at this point. But again, comps aren't my biggest thing. Yeah. I do struggle with them unless it's like super glaring and it's like looking at me in the face and going, hey, it's me. But other than that, like I think Dansby is the more recent comp you can make. If you go any farther past that, that's something I'll have to think about and really do some more research into, because I like only 5 some odd years into this. I'm not as knowledgeable as some of the other people in the space.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
I will attest to that. Like, I'm not the smartest person in the room. So, but obviously,
lies.
Say that again.
I said lies.
I don't know. I still think guys like Joe, Carlos, all these guys in the space that have more experience are probably the smarter people. But again, we're all here to learn. That's all. That's basically what it is. I'm going to learn from a lot of these people, and comps will come better as a result of it. We'll see what happens, but again, Dansby is probably the closest comp I can make right now.
Yeah. Well, we're going to learn from you, thanks to Jack V1123's question. Your thoughts on Jackson Willits? And that is Eli's brother, by the way, for all the listeners.
My biggest thoughts on Jackson is kind of a similar build. He's like 6 foot 200, maybe 190. I can't remember what the official listing is, but I would say probably more powerful than what Eli is going to end up being. He has a really, really good bat path in terms of getting the ball in the air, and the power plays to both sides of the field. It's kind of like gap power. And he's really got good bat the ball skills. Like, obviously, he had more strikeouts than walks in the college season, but he goes to the Cape, recorded like double the amount of walks as strikeouts. I think the approach is really, really solid. I think he's going to be a bat first shortstop. I got to watch some shortstop film to kind of get an idea of what he can be there, because admittedly I haven't watched a ton of it. So I'll at least like be honest on that front. I still got some more work to do on his profile. But just looking at what the bat's been, when I saw him against South Carolina last year, I think he homered twice on the weekend. I wouldn't be shocked if he's a day one pick. I don't personally, for me, I don't think he's as talented as what his brother is. However, will they both be day one picks? I could totally see that being an absolute reality here this time in July.
I love it. Ryan's wondering, is the best arm really a prep arm? Based on a way too early mocks, the 2 pitchers taken early are both high schoolers. Can you see one of the big arms like Fluky, Flora, or even Liam Peterson taking that jump to the top spots?
That's a very good question. And I'm going to say, just like I mentioned about the question of who could be 1-1, it's too early to tell. However, I fully believe that, you look at Cam Fluky, there's some stuff in the zone with the fastball that some guys might be deterred by performance-wise. I've had some people tell me, like, the curveball is too much hump, it's too noticeable out of the hand. However, moving forward, I think he's going to be a guy that's, again, the number 1 college arm in the class. Jackson Flores, super elastic. He's still learning how to fully pitch. He's working on the kick change. There's just so many questions right now on the college pitching side. Does Liam Peterson throw strikes this year? I know he's changed his delivery a bit. Joey Volchko is kind of the same way, where Volchko's dropped his arm slot. He's more extended down the mound. It's not as wild. He still kept the same stuff too, which is something I definitely wasn't expecting Georgia to do with him, admittedly. But with Bolemon, Rojas, and Schmidt, if we were comparing Logan Schmidt to Cam Caminiti, I still think it's going to be a prep arm. If you had a gun to my head and told me to draft this tomorrow, I would still take a prep arm over a college arm. But that is subject to change.
We're going to clip that, and we're going to clip the subject to change part out. And then when a college arm goes first on draft day, I'm just going to tweet it out.
Hey, go for it.
Just kidding. Cold takes or whatever that account is. We'll just put it on
Freezing
there.
cold takes?
Yeah, freezing cold takes.
I don't know if freezing cold takes would care enough about Tyler Jennings' take.
No.
You know.
All right. We'll tweet it from the Just Baseball account, and then just make sure everybody sees it.
There we go. That's better.
Another question from Ryan. In a draft loaded with shortstop talent at the top, how many of them do you guys project to be shortstop at the big league level? You kind of touched on this a little bit earlier.
Yeah, there's like Rock Cholowsky, easy shortstop. Tyler Bell, probably easy shortstop. Justin LeBron, easy shortstop. We are honestly pretty blessed with the amount of really talented shortstops defensively this year. That's just the college side too. Like, again, mentioned it, Grady Emerson, likely shortstop unless he outgrows the body. Jacob Lombard, gymnastics freak. He's going to be a shortstop. Aiden Ruiz, definite shortstop. James Clark. I would say probably between shortstop and third base right now. But I haven't listed as a shortstop because I think he's got the tools for it. I would wager some guys even farther down the line that aren't even at the top of this list or even on the boards outright have legitimate shots. So I'd say there's still a pretty solid amount of shortstops that will stick there long term at the next level. Because, like, I'll provide an example from last year's class. Lorenzo Miola from Stetson. The scouts were putting 70s on the glove, and he ended up being he was a Giants draft pick, if I remember correctly, a 4th rounder, I think. Which is, obviously the rankings would make that out to be like 115 to 125 or something like that. And I think we had him at I should probably, actually type Control F to find his name, unless this thing wants to. That's not Control F, Tyler. Good job. We had Lorenzo Miola at like 165. Okay. So, for reference, not everybody on the board right now is going to be involved in this conversation, but there's going to be quite a few guys that I think are going to stick at shortstop at the next level to answer the question outright.
I love it. Moving on to the next question. It is from some guy named Peter Apple. I don't know who that is.
That name sounds familiar, man.
Yeah. Some guy.
I heard he really likes the Yankees.
Yeah, he loved the Dax Kilby pick last year, apparently. So, wanted to know why Dax Kilby was the best pick or wanted to know what the best pick of the draft was last year, and why is it Dax Kilby? Was our question we got on the last episode. He asked the question. So,
gotcha. Okay, So Yankees fanboy sounds like a very nice guy, by the way. I think this is one of my favorite fans to answer. So.
Yeah.
Hit me, Peter. Hit me.
We've already kind of answered this question too. Is how does this draft compare to the last 5 in terms of top end talent and depth in the first round? We talked about the depth. Depth is there.
Yeah.
What about top end talent?
Out of the past 5 years, I would place this as number 2 if we were going by 2021 to 2026. Yeah. I would say it's behind 2023, but ahead of everything else. I think this is a really, really solid class.
I love it. Last question we got for you. Who are the guys that are getting late first or second round buzz that will be hard breakouts, in your opinion? I like this question.
This is a very good question, and I'm going to go even farther past like first round or second round guys because so much can change within the next few months. Like right now, it's a dead period for scouts. I was talking to one the other day, and I believe it ends on January 15th. So first off, if you're a scout listening to this, we're going to be posting a lot of video on the YouTube channel over the next couple of months. So again, subscribe. Make sure you keep the notifications on. We'll make sure to let you know when some more video comes out. However, moving past that little shameless promotion, just getting guys definitive first or second round buzz right now is kind of tough. For me personally, I'm still not yet to the point where I'm combining the prep and the college list and combining it into one list and divvying it out from there. I'm still working on that. However, if you want me to go off of guys that are really farther down public boards or might even be on them, Hayden Johnson from Coastal Carolina. I've been talking to a few people. He's going to be a guy moving into the rotation behind Cam Flukie, probably the Saturday guy at Coastal. Really, really good fastball and curveball. The curveball has been quoted as a hammer by a few people. And somebody had told me it's been up to 84 with like -7 or 8 IVB with sweep. That's a really, really good pitch, by the way, if people really want to get my thoughts on it. And the fastball gets up to 20 inches of vertical carry. It's been up to 95 already. I think he's got another year in him. He's 6'5", 215. If he really just proves to be a full-fledged starter this year, he's going to go top 100 picks easy. Looking past that, like Dawson Montesa, he's a D2 transfer to West Virginia from Adelphi University. Apparently was a shortstop when he got to Adelphi. He's now he was a starter for them this past year. And I know Aaron Fitt was not praising him, but talked very highly of him in the fall report for West Virginia. And talking to some other guys who are really excited for what he could be this year. He's a guy that could really pop. He's got 4 pitches, really athletic, has some flatter approach angles to really work with. The fastball had like a 36% whiff rate on it this past summer too, which was really impressive to look at on film. If there's a guy on the college side, the prep side that I'm like kind of really in on, obviously mentioned Will Yao, Taj Marchand, who I think actually from what I've been talking to, there's a little tournament down in Georgetown, South Carolina that Taj Marchand will be at. Goes to James Island Charter on the other side of Charleston. And he will be facing Carson Bolemon as one of his early season tests. So the plan is to be there. And Marchand is a really interesting kid because he creates a lot of stretch in his swing. And by that, I mean the hands and the foot really stretch out. So like the hands are back here when he's at foot plant. So there's a lot of extension when he gets down to a swing. He creates a lot of bat speed. Really good fly ball rate. He's also been a pitcher, but I think there's a lot of believers in the stick right now. He will not be 18 years old on draft days, which is very model friendly, pretty projectable. I think he's a guy that not a lot of people in the public space have really talked about yet ad nauseum. So I think he's a guy that's going to really pop off in the spring. Colton Brady from TXNL Academy originally from North Collins, New York, LSU commit. 6'5", 212, pitchability. Again, love pitchability. I think that's one of my big things with pitching right now. And even looking past that, like, there's a guy at the very bottom of my board that I really like right now. Zane Shaw from Lawrence Free State High School in Kansas. Had some really, really good pitch shapes at WWBA. I had a few people talk to me, tell me that this is a guy that's going to be a lot of fun to watch this upcoming spring. I think there's more projection there than what's being publicized out there. 6'1", 195, I do believe is what he's listed as. Will be 18 and a month old on draft day. Nebraska commitment's going to be pretty easy to buy him out of as well too. So I think that's a guy to really keep an eye on if you're in the Midwest. And there's tons of other guys, too, to keep an eye on. But those are some of like the deeper cuts. And some of them we'll even be talking about in that article we're going to have later this week. It's a bit of a collaboration between some of us. So I'm excited to get that out as well.
Yeah, love it. That kind of does it for us. Like Tyler mentioned, that article is going to be out here soon. You can get both the top 50 prep and college MLB draft boards on the Just Baseball website. They're also, I believe, linked in our link tree if you follow us on Instagram or any of the other socials. We also have a ton of draft interviews that have been coming out. We've got interviews with Grady Emerson, Cholowsky, Drew Burris, AJ Gracia, basically all the top guys at this point. Catch that on the Clock YouTube. We'll have some more coming through the entire season. Tyler, as he mentioned, will have a top 100 board coming out next sometime, probably February, he said? January, February?
December, hopefully.
Maybe December.
Yeah, we're
Little
gonna have
Christmas
some
present
fun
to everyone.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun with a little dead period here for scouting. There's gonna be a lot of stuff upcoming. Going to be posting a lot of videos on the YouTube channel. So again, make sure you're prepared for that. We've already posted Rock Cholowsky film from USA, both at the plate and in the field. So I'm going to try and be a little bit different and try and include a lot of that stuff defensively as well now. But AJ Gracia is coming up. I'm going to be working on that. And then all of this is going to be combed into the rankings itself. Excuse me. So if you happen to be going through the rankings, you're going to have links to the interviews, to the videos, to any articles that we've written in the past that include these kids. So really excited for what we have upcoming on that side. I think that, we're coming up on a 1 year of making this a thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're almost 11 months into this. I think we started in January.
Yeah.
And the vision to continue to grow is there. We're gonna uphold it. We're gonna make it work. And there's a lot of stuff that we're planning in the spring to get everything ready. So I'm excited. I want baseball back really, really badly. However, everybody's just gonna be stuck with me giving out either good or bad takes until then.
Great takes.
There's some bad takes out there. But yeah, we're going to see how everything pans out this winter. Again, very excited for the crew that we have and what we have moving forward. We got a couple new guys, Toby Schulman. Make sure you give Toby a follow on Twitter if you don't already. Peyton Sauer, JD Cameron, all these guys that we have here at the site that have been really doing a good job. Sam Fosberg, Will Mosa, all these guys, Mark Garland. Give them a follow. They're all very, very good dudes. Kaylee Grebe as well. Make sure everybody on site gets a follow if you happen to follow us. So
also, welcome back, Monty.
Yes,
Monty Taylor's back.
Monty.
He'll be doing some college stuff with us. But yeah, thank you all for just joining in, listening in. That's Thanksgiving time, so we have to be just thankful for you all. We couldn't do this without everyone tuning into the content that we're putting out there, the awesome video that Tyler's getting, the analysis that we're getting from an entire draft team, our college team. This has been awesome. We're looking forward to continuing in 2026. So until next time, we'll see you.